it is me, Addie, yet again, and I am here with Hip Stitch, how to make a donut. Kit comes with sprinkles, frosting, donuts, stuffing, embroidery floss, and a needle. To get started, we're going to attach our frosting to one of our donut faces. So I'm just cutting some pink embroidery thread and threading it through my needle. I've decided to double up this thread. So to double up a thread, you tie both ends together. Once my needle's threaded, I'm just going to place the frosting on the donut and start stitching using a running stitch. So whenever you start stitching anything, you always come from the back up. That way you don't see the knot on the pretty side or the front side. And a running stitch is one of the most basic stitches that probably existed ever. It's just up and down and up and down. You get it. You get the idea. Don't let your thread get too short before you decide to end it. When you do decide to end it, you can take both those sides and tie them together in a double knot to secure the stitches. And then you can rethread your needle and keep going around the donut. And now it is time for sprinkles. So I threaded my needle, but this time I threaded it single. So one end is shorter and it doesn't have a knot, and one end is longer and it does have a knot. So I'm just going to come up on my frosting where I want my first sprinkle to go. And to add a sprinkle, it's really simple. You just slide the fuse bead on and then you tack it down with a small stitch right next to it. So this is a closer up shot. So I'm just sliding the fuse bead on and putting it down wherever. Something that you don't want to do is bring your needle across the donut so that the hole has like threads going across it. I'm kind of working randomly in a circle, if that makes sense, so that my thread isn't going to get in the way of the center of my donut because we want that center to be open. When you get to your last sprinkle, first off, it's looking fabulous. Congratulations. But you're just gonna finish with the thread on the back. And since it's single, I can still split it in half because it's embroidery floss, and that's what embroidery floss is meant to do. So I'm just gonna split it in half and tie my double knot that way. Now it's time to attach your donut front to your donut back, and we're going to do this using a whip stitch. So for my whip stitching, I decided to thread my needle again single. You don't have to thread yours single. You could thread yours double if you're more comfortable that way. I just like single. If I make a mistake with single, which happens, then I can just slip it out. Put those donut pieces together and start whip stitching. Here I go. I'm going to start in the center. I would encourage you to do the same just because the outside is the easiest. A whip stitch is a wrapping motion. So I'm going to bring my needle to the back and come from the back to the top, come from the back to the top, and see how I'm kind of wrapping the thread around and around. Once you come full circle, on your last stitch, don't pull through all the way. Instead, wrap your needle around that loop. Then pull tight, and it will make this knot that will secure your donut. After the center, you're ready to start whip stitching the outside. Don't whip stitch all the way around, leave some room for stuffing. So in this time lapse, you'll see me kind of going along with my whip stitching, and then I'll pause in certain points, give it a stuff, whip stitch, stuff, whip stitch, stuff, until I reach the end. This is the opening that I was talking about. This is me reaching the end, and here I'm going to show you that finishing method that I showed you earlier, but more up close. So this is the loop, wrapping my needle around the loop and pulling it tight, and that creates a knot. Trim, and that is the end. After you trim, you have your donut.